Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for yet another unboxing show. We haven't done one of these in a while, but I got in a ton of stuff over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I am going to be taking it out of the box today. We will, though, have full reviews of most of these things on the main channel and on the extras channel as the weeks progress here, but we do have to take it out of the box, and I thought it might be fun to do that on camera here, and then I can get an idea from all of you as to which ones you want to see done first, and that will, of course, help guide my production schedule. Now, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that some of these things came in free of charge, some of them are on loan, and some of them I bought with my own funds, and I will disclose the origin of each of these items as we work our way through the unboxing. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, this first item I bought, and this is an AOC monitor, a gaming monitor, a 25-inch gaming monitor that they say was developed for awesomeness. And I heard from some viewers that you wanted me to get this to see how it performs because it's very reasonably priced. It's under 200 bucks. It has 144 hertz, a 1 millisecond response time. And get this, they say it supports FreeSync and G-Sync, so it will work with both AMD and NVIDIA graphics cards to get you out of that screen tearing that you're probably dealing with. So that was intriguing to me. All right, so let's see what we got in here. This is the base, it looks like, and we can peel off the plastic. By the way, I bought this with my own funds after a viewer recommendation, because we haven't looked at any good bargain monitors in a while. And this is not 4K, but 1080p is often good enough, especially if you are looking for the highest frame rate. So let me just cut over here for a second, and we just got to get the whole thing out. It's like encased in a tomb of styrofoam here. So that's what we got here. Let's get this back on the desk and see what else we have. This looks like the arm. All right, and then we've got, oh good. So it's always good when they give you the cable in the box. A lot of companies don't. Many are doing it now. So you have an HDMI cable here, and then we have the power cable. And then we've got the monitor itself. So let's see what we've got here. Oops. I'm trying to be gentle on the styrofoam in case I want to sell this to a viewer afterward. All right, so it is nicely packed, as all monitors tend to be. And let's see what it looks like. Oh, very nice. It looks like it's got very thin bezels, which you all like these days, right? It's kind of the chic thing to have. And it looks like we've got some plastic to peel off of here, so we'll do that real quick. I just got in a TV a little while ago, and there was a lot of this stuff to peel off. It was a 65-inch TV, and that was a lot of work. So we'll have to see how this one comes together. What's funny is that it supports G-Sync, but you don't see it on any of these logos here at the bottom. It's got like all these other things, and even an icon for game mode, but none of the other stuff. So let's attach the arm here. It looks like it just kind of snaps in. So we'll just, yep, snaps right in there. And then this looks like we may have to screw it onto the base, I think. But let's see. Get it on there. Nope, just snaps right in, and you're assembled. It doesn't look like the base moves up and down, so it's in a fixed position. But I would imagine you could probably get a VESA mount for it. 4 ports here. We've got HDMI 1 and 2. You have DisplayPort, VGA, and a headphone jack, along with a Kensington lock. And it looks like it's got 2 speakers here on the back, too. So kind of complete there. Not bad. Now, this next item is one that I am very excited to demonstrate. We're not going to do it now, of course. We're going to have a dedicated live stream to this. This, of course, as you can see from the box, is the Flowbee. And if you're like me, you can't get a haircut right now because we're all locked up inside our homes. And, you're going to have to, at some point, do it. And I can't do the clippers. The clippers are something that I'm not going to do well. But I've been doing a lot of research on the Flowbee. I've been watching the commercials on the Flowbee since I was a kid, and often it was kind of a thing you would mock, perhaps. However, it looks as though the Flowbee is a pretty good product. It hasn't changed at all in its lifespan. I think this product is pretty much the same as it's always been. And if you're not familiar with this, what it is a hair cutting system that you hook up to your vacuum cleaner. And it's kind of ingenious how it works. Now, I haven't tried this yet, but I've been watching a lot of videos about it just to get a feel for it. So we've got this end here that plugs into your vacuum. They say it is compatible with just about any vacuum that's out there, and I think there might be some hose attachments in the box. This looks to me that like it'll connect up with my my central vacuuming system. And there's a wire that's running through this. I hope that's not an issue. So yeah, you get the hose here, and then this is the business end of the Flowbee. And what this has on it, let me get you my overhead view. What this has on it are blades in here. Now, you don't put this on your head just like this. What you do is you have these little plastic adapters, which I'm guessing are in the box, that go on top of this, and then that will determine the maximum length of hair that gets cut. So that's how this works. And like I said, I'm really eager to try this out. So let me put this part over here for a second, and we'll see what else is in the box. It looks like we've got an adapter here for different types of vacuum cleaners. This is like some kind of rubber sleeve. Feels like a balloon. I'm guessing there's a purpose for this, which I will probably find out when I look at the instructions. This, I think, is very important. This is your bottle of blade lubricant, and apparently you've got to use this every time you use your Flowbee. You've got to run it through the blades, turn it on for a little bit, and get those blades moving nicely together. And if you don't use it that often, it's definitely something you're going to want to do before you stick your head in there, because it'll likely cause some issues. You do have to plug it into power, so it's not powered by the suction of your vacuum. So when you plug it in, that gets the blades moving, and then the vacuum sucks the hair out. And then in here are all of the little adapter things that you use for cutting your hair, and apparently they give you a bunch of different ones. So if you want a super short cut, you use some of the shorter ones, and then you can determine longer lengths here too. So this is kind of cool. So you see how that's like kind of tapered? So this is, my understanding is you do the tapered one on the side of your head so that you can blend the top and the side with it. That's what they say to do there. And then it looks like they come apart, so you can determine the length. And if you're watching the live stream right now, I have no intention of using this right now. I've got to do a little bit more homework on this. But again, this is how you would determine the length. You kind of dial it in based on what plastic pieces you have there. And if you think about it, it's actually kind of simple, because if I attach this to the Flowbee thing here, I'm guessing it goes in like this. I haven't figured out how to attach it yet. I guess it goes like that maybe. Okay. This would determine the maximum length of hair that would be cut, because what's going to happen is the vacuum is going to suck the hair in, and then it would cut everything up to this point. So if you're really worried about cutting too much off, start with a longer plastic thing here, and that will give you some safety as to what you're chopping. So yeah, I've got some research to do on this before we dive into it, and I think it might be a fun live stream. And if for some reason it doesn't work out, I'll just shave my head off and we'll go from there. Now, they do say that women can use this also. However, I have heard from a few women who told me that, who had long hair, that it kind of sucked all their hair in and it kind of grabbed it. And I think the problem is that if you don't lubricate the blades well enough first, there's a risk that it'll get trapped with the hair. So I think that's really the key, is getting those blades really nice and fluid, and that's what you use the bottle here for. So stay tuned, we're going to have more with the Flowbee coming up soon. And by the way, I paid for that Flowbee with my own funds, and hopefully I won't regret it. This next item came in on loan from Dell, as you can see. And let's take a look at what they sent us. We're going to have a full review of this soon on the main channel, this one. And this is, by the way, I kind of know what it is already. This is the new XPS 13 that just came out. So I saw these at CES, and I was like, oh, I hope I can get one of these to review. And they just reached out to me to say they've got them. So they sent one to me, and we'll be taking a look at it. Now, this has the 10th generation Intel chip. I believe this is an i7. And they've really improved the graphics. I'm trying not to destroy their box here as I unbox this. This is one of these review units. It's probably been sent to 1 million people already. So the new Intel graphics are really improving the base level GPU stuff. So you're actually able to do a little bit of gaming on these now. So I'm eager to see how, we've seen a few of these already. I'm eager to see how the new XPS 13 stacks up, because one of the things that you run into is how each of these companies decides to handle the thermals on these. You know, when do you start throttling? How loud do you make the fans? So there often is a difference in performance on these devices. So let's peel the plastic off here. Feels very nice. I've always liked the newer Dell designs, and this one feels pretty nice and solid. It's all metal. It's got a nice cool to the touch. We'll take a look and see what else is in the box here in a second, but let's open it up on the desk and see what it looks like. So there you go. Very attractive. This is the white one. I think they've got a few other colors as well, but really nice. Again, we'll have the full review soon, so we'll get into depth as to exactly what it can do and not do. What's nice too is that they managed to get the webcam back up on the top. So some of the prior Dell XPSs we've looked at had it down on the bottom, and the bezels on this are super thin across the board. It really looks good. What's great is that you can now get, this is the 13, you can get a 13-inch display into like a 12-inch form factor now, because once you make those bezels thinner, you're good to go. I am seeing a bit of screen bleed down here in the left-hand corner, and it is a touch display too. That's pretty cool. Let's see what resolution the display is before we get into some of the other hardware here. It looks like this is a 1900 by 1200 display. And then for ports, we've got a Thunderbolt on this side. It looks like a micro SD card reader there, and another Thunderbolt port. And then you got a headphone jack. Cool stuff. Very, very nice. And it's not fanless, of course, because these are running with the regular Intel chips here. So yeah, good stuff. We will have a full review of this very soon on the channel. Other stuff in the box here, it looks like you've got your power cable, you've got a USB-C charging cable, and then the power adapter, which is not very big. So that's it. I think this is probably like a 45 watt power adapter. So this should work fine with just about any docking station that you can find out there. The Thunderbolt docking stations, if you have a Thunderbolt equipped computer, are often the best to go with, just because you don't have the bandwidth limitations, so that might be a good thing to take a look at. So stay tuned, more to come on the Dell XPS 13. All right, we've got yet another laptop to unbox. Let's take a look at this one. This is from Lenovo, and this is a budget-minded ThinkPad. Now typically the ThinkPads, let me get the box out of here, the ThinkPads are usually expensive business laptops, but this one is a lower priced device that's on loan from Lenovo, by the way. This is the ThinkPad L13, and these start at much more reasonable prices. You can get these for probably in the $500 or $600 range, I believe. And let's take it out of the box and see what it looks like. I did check on this one before I started the video today. This one is not upgradable on the RAM. I don't believe that Dell we looked at is upgradable on RAM either. But you can upgrade the storage if you want to take it apart. And this is it. Now this is a Yoga, and of course with Lenovo, Yoga means it's a 2-in-1. It feels nice. It's all metal. I mean, for a budget-minded laptop, it feels nice and sturdy here. So we've got, let's take a look at the ports, and then we'll look at the keyboard and stuff. Power switch, SD card slot, USB 3, full-size HDMI out, Kensington lock. On the other side, we've got, I believe this is USB-C, not Thunderbolt, but you got two USB-C ports here. These are full service ports, so I believe it will do display and data. We'll make sure of that when we do the full review. Next to it is one of these custom ports that Lenovo has for network, so that's what that one is. And then you've got another USB 3 port here and a headphone jack. And then because this is a ThinkPad, you have two options for pointing your mouse maneuvers. You've got your trackpad here. This is a click pad. And then you have the little nub thing here as well. It's been on ThinkPads forever. And then you've got the ThinkPad keyboard, which are among the best in the business. You got a lot of travel on this. It feels nice and sturdy and rugged. So if you're looking for, a ThinkPad at a lower price, this is probably going to be the lowest priced option out there, especially on a 2-in-1. And by the way, it is a touch display too, because it is a 2-in-1. It can kind of go into tablet mode like so. So we'll have more on this very shortly on the main channel, this one, very soon. And this has got a 10th generation i5, and I think they've got i7s out there as well for it. So pretty cool looking, pretty sturdy feeling. Feels like a ThinkPad, but it's not expensive like some ThinkPads are. So that will be a fun one to check out later on here on the channel. This next item came in free of charge through the Amazon Vine program. This is a very reasonably priced headset from HyperX. At the moment, it's out of stock on Amazon, but it's very well reviewed, and it looks like something that's pretty decent. This is called the Cloud Stinger Core, and it's a pretty basic gaming headset. It's got a microphone on it, of course, and you've got some pretty, looks to be pretty comfortable ear muffs here, so we'll check that out and see how it works. It's got a couple of little twist ties here that keep it locked into its plastic case. And we'll see what happened. I believe I mentioned this came in free of charge through the Amazon Vine program. So let me put this on my head real quick and see. Yeah, I tell you, it really isolates out a lot of sound. I'm not hearing as much around me. I got to do a full review of these to get a good sense as to the audio quality. And I'll cut over to my other shot here. You've got a good amount of adjustability on the microphone here, so you can kind of bend it to where you want it to be, so that's good. That's nice to see. This is not a USB headset. This is your standard 1/8-inch connector here. So this will work with pretty much any laptop or tablet that supports the microphone and headphones on the single cable, and most do these days. And then it's got a little control here, so you can control the volume and mute. So you got that. Not bad. Yeah, it feels okay. It doesn't feel super premium. You know, there's a lot of cushion on the earmuff here. I'm going to have to wear this for a little bit to get a feel for how well it does over a longer period of time. But it's not as soft, perhaps, as some of the more expensive headsets might be. But again, I think this goes for $25 or $30. So for that price point, I'm not expecting all that much, and it feels pretty good for what it is. So we'll have more on this. This will probably show up on the Extras channel in a couple of days. I'll give you my impressions of its audio quality, and then we'll do a mic test on it as well. And this will be one of those things where you often got to find the right combination of mic distance and audio settings on your particular hardware settings in your audio recorder or on your Skype or whatever you're using, because oftentimes if you get the microphone too close, you really start peaking out. So just get it in the right spot, and you're good to go there. This should work again with any PC. It'll also work with game consoles if you've got that 1/8-inch connector on your controller. More to come on this very soon. All right, next we've got another audio device. This is a Soundblaster. Now, if you're an old tech guy like me, you had a Soundblaster card in your computer. I had an 8-bit Soundblaster ISA card in my 386 back in the day. Creative Labs, of course, is still around, and they're still making Soundblasters because now they're making some of these higher-end audio devices for your USB port. So if you're not satisfied with your onboard motherboard audio, you can get something like this. And again, we'll have a full review on this one coming soon on the channel. So this Soundblaster is not a card, but a device. And let's take it out of the box here and see what it's all about. And I am not much of an audiophile, so I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on this to talk about some of the use cases for it. I would imagine this would work well if you're doing audio production. It's got a knob here, which I'm guessing you can configure to do different things. I will probably have mine configured for volume, but of course we'll play around and see what you can do on this. We have a dedicated microphone input and a dedicated headphone output. So that headset we just unboxed would likely not work with this unless you can split the signal out between the two. On the back here, you've got your line out, and it supports surround sound, it looks like. So you've got front, side, rear, and then a subwoofer. You have a line in, you have an optical out, and you've got your USB Type-C that connects to the computer. And one of the things that Creative's been doing with these is having much higher end audio hardware inside of the device. So if you're getting into lossless audio and really want a better quality sound than what your motherboard can provide, this device will do that for you. Let's see what else we got in the box here. I feel a cable in here. Yep, we got a cable here. So this is a USB 3 to USB-C cable. And of course, you could go USB-C to C if you have a USB-C or Thunderbolt port. We got our manual here as well, so we will be playing around with this one quite a bit more in the near future. And by the way, in addition to turning it's also a clicker too. I wonder if I could use this for video editing too. It'd be nice to have a little shuttle dial on there. This, by the way, came in free of charge from Creative, and again, we'll be having more on this and some of the use cases for it in an upcoming review, so stay tuned. All right, these next two items are MoCA devices, and if you are not familiar with MoCA, it is a way of extending your network connection throughout your home using your cable TV wiring. These are compatible with your satellites and your cable TV. And so if you have cable TV service or satellite service, these will work alongside of it. It's really pretty cool stuff. Now I've got two things here. One is super inexpensive. Maybe we'll start with that one. So you might have been seeing on Amazon, there's a bunch of listings for these super low-cost MoCA devices, and I neglected to add it to my Amazon list on the Amazon stream. But these are often selling for under $20 or from Actiontec. And what these do is basically allow you to extend your network, your internet, to other rooms, again, through the cable TV. So what you do, you need to have two devices. You need a MoCA device near your router. You plug that into the router and then plug the cable TV wire into it. We've done a lot on MoCA here on the channel, so if you go to Lon.TV/MoCA, you can see all of the background as to how this works. And then you would take this unit and put it someplace else in the house and then connect the cable TV wiring to here. And once you do that, you will get Wi-Fi out of this. So you can extend your Wi-Fi, again, over the cable TV wiring. And then you've got two Ethernet jacks on the back of this that you can also plug things into. Now this is a MoCA 1.0 device, which means that it's a maximum of 100 megabits. But if you don't have a super fast internet connection, if you only have like 10 or 15 megabits up like I have, this would probably work fine for most folks to just get better, more reliable internet into different parts of your home. So we'll have a review of this one. Again, super affordable. And there's a bunch of these that are still being sold on Amazon. I think they're like leftover stock from cable operators. Super easy to install though. And again, check out my other MoCA videos for some background on that. Now the next item, by the way, I paid for this with my own funds. The next item is something that came in from Translite. I believe they're loaning this to me, so I will probably be sending this back to them when we're done. This is what's called a MoCA 2.5 device. And this is something that is a little faster than what we just looked at. And what these do is same concept here, is you plug your cable TV wiring in, and then you've got two Ethernet ports here you can make use of. But these are faster on the backbone. So while the other one only does 100 megabits over the coax, these do 2.5 gigabits. And this kit comes with two. So you can put one near your router and then put another one in the other part of the house that you want to extend internet to. These, though, do not have Wi-Fi built in, but you can easily plug in a Wi-Fi access point into one of these things and be ready to go with it. We looked recently at another pair of these devices from a company called Go Coax. Those were also 2.5 gigabits, but they only had one Ethernet connector. This has two. And when we review these a little later in the week here, we'll test the speed to make sure we can get the full 2.5 gigabits going through those coax cables. But these are probably the best way to extend your network. They are a little less simple than some of the other network extension devices out there because there's a little bit you have to learn about how the technology works before you can really get going with it. But once you understand the concept, these things are great and really probably the best way to extend your network around the house if you don't want to run regular Ethernet cabling. So stay tuned, more to come on these. Now these next two items came in from Sabrent and they're going to look the same, but they are quite different. These are Rocket Pro drives, and these came in free of charge from the company, by the way. Now you'll notice one has Thunderbolt and the other one is USB Type-C. The Thunderbolt drive is likely going to be faster than the USB-C version because Thunderbolt can push 40 gigabits per second over its connection, whereas USB-C, at least this type of USB-C that's on this particular device, will max out at 10. And as such, even though the guts of these drives are likely the same, the speed and the price will be different between the two. The Thunderbolt one, of course, being more expensive. So let me get this opened up here without cutting my hands open, and we'll see what this looks like, and we'll take a look. Now, one of the things with Thunderbolt versus USB-C is that they use the same connector, even though the technology is very different, and that's often very confusing to consumers. Soon, Thunderbolt and USB will kind of merge into this weird thing where USB 4 is going to be Thunderbolt 3, but it's still very confusing, I think. So, in any event, here is the drive, a nice metal case. This is the Thunderbolt version. You know it is because it's got that big Thunderbolt icon on there. And although this looks like you could plug it into a USB-C computer, it won't work because it's a different technology. In the bag here, or the box, you get a Thunderbolt 3 cable, which is always good to get. And these cables are pretty pricey on their own, so it's good that they include one here, and you are ready to go with that. We'll have a full review of these and the speed of them coming up soon, so stay tuned. And let's just unbox the other one just for the heck of it and see what we have inside. A little plastic there. I'm going to have to cut a little bit more off. There we go. I do cut away from my hands now. I used to cut the other way, and that was not something the viewers liked. So we'll undo that, and we'll open it up, and there you go. So you can see this one has a little different icon, like their own little logo. But they look the same. So you've got to be really, you got to really pay attention here when you buy these to make sure you get the right one, because if you look at these things, I mean, they really look the same. But again, this one will work on both a Thunderbolt and a USB-equipped computer, but this one will only work on the Thunderbolt one. So just be aware of that. And then we have a USB cable here. Now, one other thing to note on these is that these USB drives have different speeds depending on which generation of USB they support. So this one is what's called a Gen 2 drive, which means it can support up to 10 gigabits per second if you have the right cable and if it's plugged into a computer that supports that rate of speed. So they do give you the right cables in the box, but if you go out and buy a third-party cable, make sure it's a Gen 2 cable, because you can buy a USB-C cable that only runs at even the old USB 2 speed, which is significantly slower. So you've got to be really, you really got to pay attention when you're buying these cables. The nice thing, though, in the box here is you've got the USB-C cable, and you've got a USB-C to USB-A cable. So good stuff there. Again, full review coming up on this very soon. All right, one last item to unbox, and this is something that goes with something else. So this is an adapter from Celestron called the NexYZ, and what it allows you to do is attach your smartphone to the eyepiece so you can get images of whatever your binoculars or telescope are picking up. And recently, I bought a new telescope. This is the StarSense Explorer that we saw at CES. It uses your phone as a star tracker, so we're going to have two phones to use this, one to take pictures and the other one to track stars. And I haven't had a good night to use it yet, so I'm eager to try it out, but I wanted to get this adapter ready for when we do have a good night so that my daughters and I can start doing some stargazing together, a little astronomy lesson while we're home learning. And this might be a fun way to capture what we're looking at. And what we'll do in a minute here is attach it to the telescope to take a few images outside just to see what it looks like here. So let's take it out of the bag and see how this all comes together. So it looks like you've got a clamp here. And then I guess you just align the eyepiece or the camera of your phone with the eyepiece on the telescope. So the first thing you do here is attach your phone to the case. It slides right in like so. And then there's a clamp here, and it may be hard to see, but this clamp is what you clamp onto the eyepiece of your device. So I'm going to attach it to the eyepiece of my telescope. And there's a little tightening thing here that you turn. This orange thing, let me get it on screen there. This orange thing you turn, and that tightens up the clamp and gets it securely attached. So I'm just going to get this locked in like so, and then we can get it in a good spot. Now the next thing we have to do is get the camera on the phone aligned with the eyepiece properly. And what's neat is they have some adjustments here to get the phone lined up. So you've got a left and right here on the bottom, and then the very bottom here is an up and down. So let's change my camera view real quick, and we'll have a look and see if we can get it all aligned. All right, so I've got the device here clamped to my eyepiece, and now what I'm going to do is put the phone in, and you're watching a live stream from the phone. And as you can see, we've already got some image here, and all I have to do is just kind of adjust the adjustments here to get it into a good spot. Now, on my phone right now, I can't choose which camera that I'm using, but I can move the phone a little closer to the eyepiece and kind of adjust things until I get it into the right spot. So you get a lot of good adjustments here. And as you can see, we've got that blue bench there right in there and right all locked in. It looks pretty cool. So we're not, of course, looking at the sky right now because it's the daytime, but you get a sense as to how this might work. And I really like the adjustment on this. It's really easy to get it going. Just dial it in there, get your camera aligned, and you've got a pretty good image here. The guys are out mowing the grass right now. You'll see him drive right by there. And altogether, it seems to be working pretty cool. So this is a neat way to get a smartphone attached to your telescope or binocular, and it's pretty easy to figure out. I'm eager to try this with my Pixel phone because it has a night vision mode, so it'd be fun to see how it's able to work with super low light conditions. But you definitely have to keep your hands off of it because you can see how easy it is to get a lot of knocking going on with just a little tap of the finger. So you'll want to get it really stable, let go and let it kind of settle down, and then you should be able to capture some good images. So you might want to get something where you've got a remote trigger for the photos there, but it seems to be working pretty cool. And I didn't mention that the adapter here I purchased with my own funds along with the telescope. And that is going to do it for this unboxing video. Thank you all for tuning in. Definitely let me know down in the comments below which things you'd like to see first. That will help us to prioritize what we put together in the coming weeks here. And I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. I haven't done one of these in a while. I love doing them, and I know you like to watch them too. A lot more to come, so stay tuned. And until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters, the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, Tom Albrecht, Rick Vestudo, Chris Allegretta, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.